we are going to get a selective or malicious prosecution defense, Mike Davis. And that is something that is raised with the judge on the papers. The jury doesn't decide that. The judge looks at the facts. And this guy who's been appointed, well, not appointed, but he pulled the case, Judge Michael Nachmanoff, is an interesting judge. Career, basically, as a federal defender, a federal criminal defender. So he's not a prosecutor. That's fine. He was appointed by Biden in 21. Them's the breaks. We have lawyers and we have judges from both Republican and Democrat appointees. Now, somebody we follow on X here on this show, William Shipley, he has very smart legal analysis, and he said the following. Of all the Biden appointees in the Eastern District of Virginia, Judge Nachmanoff is probably the best potential draw, he means, for Trump. He does not have a background that suggests progressive activism, as is true of many Biden-appointed district judges, particularly those, he writes, in the last 2 years of his administration. Nachmanoff, his entire career in private practice was in federal criminal defense work. That's not the same kind of bubbling cauldron of social justice warrior that you find in public interest law firms on the radical left. He says, this is generally not the profile of an activist progressive judge. This is just a trial attorney attracted to criminal defense work. What is your take on this draw and who it helps?
I mean, I think Bill Shipley, he's a friend. He's a very smart guy. I will say this. You had 2 Democrat senators in Virginia, so you're not going to have a blue slip problem where the home state senators, there wasn't a Republican home state senator that would have made them pick a more moderate pick. There are a lot of potential picks for the Eastern District of Virginia. It's a very coveted judgeship, and I seriously doubt that the Biden White House put someone who's just going to call balls and strikes in the Eastern District of Virginia, because they didn't do it anywhere else where they could have put in a radical. They always did.
So, Dave, this argument, and to be honest with you, I don't totally understand the difference between malicious prosecution and selective prosecution. And are those both defenses that can be raised? And also, can you please talk about how they're going to argue that?
Yes, they're going to use the president's words against him. That's where the social media post will hurt him. And I don't know if that was meant to be a direct message directly to Attorney General Bondi or broadcast to everyone, but he then deleted it. And the fact that he fired Eric Siebert, who was a respected conservative, acting U.S. attorney in that district, because he refused to prosecute James Comey and replaced him with someone who had never prosecuted a case before and had to go in herself to do it.
Or was it Letitia James that he was dragging his feet on?
He was mad at both. But by the way, I assume that our friend Mike Davis would be friends with him because Mike is friends with every conservative lawyer in the country. So I assume you know Eric Siebert. Right? And I'm sure you do.
He seems like a very nice guy. He seems like a very typical Washington, D.C. Republican. I would say maybe the Democrats in Virginia, the 2 Democrat senators in Virginia who agreed to his nomination would be very pleased with a Republican like Siebert.
Okay.
It's true. It is tricky. It is tricky. And what's Mike saying, and I get it, is, as you know, Dave, within the Republican Party, you've got the ones who are MAGA, and then you've got the more old school, more establishment types. And to get through, as the U.S. attorney approved by the 2 Democrat senators from Virginia, you'd probably do better if you were the more establishment type and not a MAGA acolyte. So that's, I mean, what he seems to be saying.
Can I just say this very fast, Dave? Yeah. I would not get a blue slip from any Democrat in America. I probably wouldn't get a blue slip from any Republican in America, but Siebert would get a blue. Siebert would probably get a blue slip from any Democrat in America. So
I thought a blue slip is when you're rejected. I thought that's like a blackball is the blue slip.
No, the blue slip is green light.
Return. When the senators return these stupid blue slips, then you can get then it's a 100-year-old tradition in the Senate where the home state senators have an absolute veto over U.S. attorney, U.S. marshal, and district court judge. And so
but when I move to Florida or when Dave moves to Connecticut and we become the two state senators or U.S. senators from the state, we would definitely blue slip you, Mike Davis. We would, you would sail through no matter what partisan stripes we have. All right, keep going, Dave.
Yes, well, so when it comes to vindictive prosecution, that's what they're going to rely on, and they're going to use the president's words here rather than the prosecutor's words. They'll show that the U.S. attorney, the acting U.S. attorney, was someone who was appointed for this purpose, and within days later, she went into court herself. She didn't even use any of her career prosecutors, perhaps because they didn't want to do it, and she got the indictment herself. So when you prove a vindictive prosecution claim, the burden's on the defense, and they have to make a prima facie showing. You got to show enough evidence, and then it shifts. The burden shifts to the prosecution to show that they had some sort of legitimate, non-vindictive reason for the charge. So it's tough to prove, but I think this is a legitimate case because the president's words will be used against him. And that's why he deleted them shortly thereafter.
I'll read the post that you're referring to. I will say this before I forget on malicious prosecution. Typically, it is raised as a defense when, like the classic example is a defendant asserts his right to a speedy trial or won't cop a plea and insists on a trial, which is a pain in the ass for the prosecutor. Mm-hmm. And then the prosecutor ups the ante, like now we're going for the death penalty. That would be your classic malicious prosecution claim where the judge says, no, you can't punish a guy for exercising his constitutional rights like this. This is different. This is like you've only brought the case because you're mad at me for, doing bad things to your people. And my favorite, in the past, whatever it's been, 12, 14 hours since this news broke, my favorite post, once again, it's almost true every day, Stephen L. Miller, not the Stephen Miller, this is a different guy, goes by Red Steez on X, keeps posting when everybody says, this is retribution, this is retribution, this is retribution. He keeps posting, for what? For what? It's exactly right. For what was done to Trump, for malicious prosecution that was done to Trump and all of his staff. It's like, yes, that's probably exactly how we got here. I mean, everybody knows that's what we're doing here. The only question is whether it's still appropriate because there's a good faith basis that he actually did commit a crime and now he's going to have to feel the punishment of it. But I don't think most of us think we'd be here if they hadn't done this to Mike Flynn and they hadn't done this to Steve Bannon and they hadn't gone after Peter Navarro and they hadn't gone after Roger Stone and they hadn't gone after Donald Trump 4 times. Of course, that was the motivation. Retribution for what? Fill in the blank, New York Times. Here is the post that could prove problematic if they do raise malicious prosecution. And this happened just a couple of days ago. 9/20/25 is the date. Pam. And there is we actually never figured, Trump almost never deletes his Truth Social posts. This one was posted and people said that reads more like a direct message than a classic Trump post. And then he took it down, which only fueled that fire more. Here's what he writes. Pam, like it's a message to her. I've reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially, same old story as last time, all talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey? Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia. It's very funny if it's a direct message that he even calls him Shifty Shift in his DMs. It's not just for show. They're all guilty as hell, but nothing's going to be done. Then we almost put in a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past, a woke rhino who was never going to do his job. That's why 2 of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard. We're talking about Siebert here, the guy who either was fired or withdrew this week or Friday. He even lied to the media and said he quit and that we had no case. No, I fired him. And there is a great case. And many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsay Halligan is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. President DJT, which is also funny if it's a direct message to her. You have to laugh. Okay, so Lindsay Halligan is 36 years old, seems like a very nice lady, but in no world would normally be getting appointed as the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. Speaking of Ozempic infested documents, that's what her resume is when it comes to the qualifications for this particular job. With all due respect, I'm sure she's a good lawyer. She worked for President Trump personally. That's how he knows her. But I'm just going to say this person's elevation to this level of a post is kind of laughable. It never would happen under normal circumstances. I believe she was put there because she's loyal to Trump and she's probably a decent lawyer, but she has no criminal law experience and zero experience as a prosecutor. Zero. So it's kind of shocking. I think we know why she's there. He didn't delete it. He deleted it and then he reposted it. That's what he did. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Okay. He added her last name, Halligan, and he added some other stuff. Okay. So then he added more to it, which I'm not going to read because you guys get the general gist. So that's the evidence, Mike, that this was malicious prosecution. And I have to just say this before you answer how they're going to argue that it's not. The media is having a meltdown over the fact that Trump has been very vocal about wanting this indictment, which he has. Even if he took this, whatever, without this tweet, he's been very vocal about wanting James Comey indicted. And they're horrified by this. And they really think it's obvious that it was under White House pressure. And maybe it was. And 100% so were the Trump indictments. Like, I just have absolutely no tolerance for this argument. Last night, they actually, to their credit, did talk about the fact that there was Biden pressure to indict Trump. Yep. But then they tried to draw a distinction that was private, behind closed doors, that he wasn't public about it, which is a distinction without any difference. That makes no difference legally. The president in both cases made very clear to his DOJ he wanted an indictment. That's what happened to Trump, and that appears to be what happened here. So your thoughts on that?
I would just say that the Trump Justice Department should just go back and use the Biden Justice Department's legal arguments that Jack Smith made when Trump made these same arguments about malicious prosecution.
Did you know gold is up around 40% this year? 40! That's not speculation. That is reality. And if a portion of your savings is not diversified into gold, you could be missing the boat. Here are the facts. Inflation is still high. The U.S. dollar is still weak, and government debt is still growing. This is why central banks are flocking to gold. They're the ones driving prices up to record highs, but it's not too late for you to buy gold. You're not too late to get in on this from Birch Gold Group and to get in the door now. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. You can do it in whole or in part. You don't pay one dime out of pocket. Just text MK to 989898 and claim your free info kit. There's no obligation, just useful information. The best indicator of the future is the past, and gold has historically been a safe haven for decades. So text MK to 989898 right now to claim your free info kit on gold. That's MK to 989898. Protect your future today with Birch Gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.